guys, we're here. Today we are going to be going over the red dot that is changing the market. Let's hit it. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a review of the Holosun 407 and 507C. Now, we're going to be doing the Gen 1 dots. Why are we doing the Gen 1 dots, you might ask? Number one, the Gen 2s aren't out and available to the masses yet. I don't have one. Number two is that the Gen 1s are still for sale. Not only are they still for sale, but they are for sale at great prices. The regular $300 that we were seeing from the 507s are now coming down to the $250 to $200 range, and the 407s can be had for, I've seen as low as $160. I will post links in the description down below for those. Can't guarantee they'll be at those prices, but you will have links down below for each one of the dots that we're going to be talking about today. One more thing to get out of the way before we get into it too much. You're going to be hearing me say Holosun a lot today instead of Holosun, and honestly, it's kind of an inside joke. We got made fun of a little bit in the live stream for the way that we say the name, so we just decided we would own it. We live here in Indiana. Sometimes we say some words pretty funny, so we went out, owned it, and we made these. That's right, this is a Holosun t-shirt. If you are interested in one of these t-shirts, check out the link in the description down below for that, as well as some of our other merch. Now, let's get into it. What I've got here is the Holosun 507C. This is the 1.0 version, as stated earlier. The basis around this thing, this is a micro red dot sight. It takes a CR2032 battery. It is an all aluminum construction. Now, they do have a 508T that is a titanium construction. Same everything else, it's just the housing is titanium in the T, and in the 507C it is aluminum. It sits on an RMR footprint, which means any gun milled or plated for an RMR will also accept the Holosun 507 and 407, as well as the 508. Now, let's go to battery life a little bit on this, because the battery life is one of the cool things about this particular dot. The battery life on these is from between 6 to 10 years. That's right, because of Holosun's backup solar panel up here, they are able to extend the battery life to basically unheard of lengths for a red dot sight. Now, that does depend a little bit based on what your usage is or which of the reticles you choose. We'll get to that in a little bit, but different reticles make the battery last longer or shorter. Now, a good part about that extended battery life is because it's able to replace the battery on these Gen 1 dots. You have to actually pull the dot off. The battery's in a battery door underneath it. Now, it is a screw-in battery door. This is not an unsealed battery compartment on the bottom side, so you don't have to worry about sealing plates or anything like that like you do with some other dots, but you do have to take the dot off to replace that battery. On the left-hand side of the dot are the controls. We've got a simple plus and minus control here. These control pretty much every option on the dot. Now, the one complaint about these is they are a little bit small. They are very tactile, so you do know when you press them. They do click, but they're very small and they are kind of hard to get in there. Not for my small child hands, but for someone with like big grown-up hands, it might be a little bit difficult. Those are the two things that they modified and changed on the version 2. Is the small controls. Now, it's a larger set of controls over on this side, and the bottom fed battery door. Now the batteries are placed via a slide out tray on the right hand side of the dot. So, working up from there, some other aspects of this. Both the 407 and the 507 share a 2 MOA dot. The difference between the 407 and the 507 is that the 507 offers, in addition to the dot, a 32 MOA circle around that dot. Now, that 32 MOA circle can be used alone, paired with the dot, or it can be shut off and you can use just the 2 MOA dot by itself. Now, the reason this is a little bit useful, when you are using red dots on pistols, there's a couple of different directions that you can go. You can go the very fine smaller dots like these have with those 2 MOA dots. You can go a larger dot like a 4 or a 6 or even a 7 or 8 MOA dot. The larger MOA dots make it a little bit easier to catch the dot, a little bit easier to track it, and generally speaking, in pistols, we're not trying for pinpoint accuracy, we want generalized accuracy. You know, the middle of a person is enough. We're not aiming to shoot the hair off a fly's ass. But what the dot and circle option gives you is the ability to have that very finite dot in the middle for the precision accuracy, as well as that larger circle to be able to generalize more shots when shooting at speed. In addition, it also gives you the ability to kind of find the dot a little bit quicker. A lot of the times when you lose the dot is just off the screen. 32 MOA circle will still partly show on the screen, so you'll know exactly where that dot is, and you can adjust your pistol accordingly. So next up, let's go ahead and get to the brightness. The brightness of these is pretty good, actually. It's better than pretty much any lower end dot that I have tried. The only ones that really rival it are the higher end dots that cost, you know, $150, $200 more than it. The SRO and RMR are still kind of the king of the brightness world. They get brighter than you're pretty much going to find in anything else, including this. But this is 100% serviceable bright. It is bright enough that you can turn it up and bloom that 2 MOA dot a little bit, especially in low light. Now, speaking of low light, we did take this thing to a low light course. The auto brightness setting of these is not so great. It doesn't adjust fast enough. It has issues with ambient lighting and adjusting poorly for the lighting in the direction that you're actually pointing the firearm. That being said, I didn't use the auto adjust. I just pumped it up all the way to the top, brought it down one notch, because all the way to the top in low light and darkness blooms a little bit too much. But I pulled it one back. It cut the bloom down significantly, so I can still use it perfectly at night, but it's still bright enough to be able to use during the day in pretty much any application. Now, that one notch down from full bright also allowed me to be able to find my dot when I was looking at the hotspot of 1,000 lumen light, because we did a lot of flashlight work in this class. So it does work for all around. This is not just a nightstand. This is not just a safe dot. This is a dot that you can use, and you can use with confidence. Now, speaking of confidence, so the durability of the Holosun 407, 507, and 508 is kind of making waves, I think, in the dot world. The durability of these rivals that of the RMR, which is kind of like the king of dot durability. You can beat an RMR to death and it's still going to run. That being said, the Holosun can beat almost to death and run just right along with the RMR. My particular one here on my P10F got dropped off of that bench back there. Hoping end of October. That is a month too late for me, Harry. Oh. Well. That was my Holosun on the floor. Still works. Got a chip on the top, but we're good. Right flat on top of the dot. I mean, you can see the scuffs on the top of the hood from it, and it still works. Not only does it still works perfectly. Did not shift zero. It did not break the solar panel or the glass. Nothing changed. I picked it up. I was a little worried about it. Took it out to the range a day or two later, and everything was perfect. Not what I expected. So the durability on these, if you check out Sage Dynamics' video on the Holosuns, they are just a brutally strong dot. Especially, again, for that price point. Remember, guys, these things cost $130 to $170 to $200 less than their competition. And it's this good so far. So in daylight settings, again, as I said, I run it one down from the top, and I have yet to run into a light situation where I'm not able to see the dot. I live in Indiana. We get all sorts of different weather here. When it's bright, it's bright. When it's dark, it's dark. And I have shot in all of those, and I can see in all of those. My main complaints with my previous dots in USPSA was that my dot was getting washed out. It doesn't happen with this guy. This dot doesn't get washed out no matter what the backing is. Now, overall dimensions on this thing, it does sit a little bit high, but it's not like Vortex Venom high. The window size. Now, the window size is about the same size as an RMR. I'd say the Holosun is like maybe a little bit taller, but not drastically. It's not drastically wider. The dimensions of the shroud do change the look of it a little bit. The RMR, because it's got those bat wings up there, it obscures the target a little bit more. The Holosun, despite having some pretty thick bezels, doesn't quite do that quite as much. The only reason the Holosun's got its thick bezels is because it's running that solar panel up there on the top. So with that all out of the way, let's go over what you get in the box a little bit. This right here is actually my new to me 407C. The 407 and the 507, as I said, are identical external, just got a little bit different internals. So you do get a number of mounting screws. The mounting screws are different lengths, which is problems that I've had before, having to cut down different mounting screws for different things, specifically the US Optics versions. They include one set of mounting screws. It comes with a cleaning cloth. It comes with your silica gel pack. Instructions, those are always great. Comes with a battery in here. This battery is actually inside this dot. but it comes with the dot, and it actually comes with a Picatinny mounting rail on the bottom. This guy actually may end up on a rifle for a little bit, and the rail mounting plate is actually pretty high quality. It's got some decent studs in there to be able to hold the dot. I'll show you, I mean, they're well toleranced enough that they'll hold on the dot without me having to put them on there. Then it comes with the wrench to be able to tighten our screws down with, and finally the little tool. This tool has two nubs on one side to be able to undo the battery tray, and it's got a flat on the other side to be able to change the windage and elevation. So that brings us to windage and elevation. Those are changed by two screws, one on the right hand side of the dot and one on the top side of the dot. Those screws have small slots in them that can be used by either the provided tool or any smaller screwdriver. I particularly use my Leatherman screwdriver, but you can use a jeweler's screwdriver as well. They do have audible and tactile clicks as you're turning it, which gives you the confidence to know that it's not going to unzero once you get it in place. Again, as I said, I dropped this off of a bench and it did not alter zero at all. This thing, I picked it up and it was still a tack driver. It's really easy to zero, it went really quick, and I appreciated that a lot. So, the Holosun 407 and 507 is a fantastic dot, not even taking price into consideration. If you were just looking at a dot and all of the dots were approximately the same price, I would lead you to, if you were looking for a concealed carry dot, I would lead you to an RMR or a Holosun. That being said, again, the Holosun is so much less than the RMR that if money is even slightly a concern, I would have no problems telling you to go get a Holosun and save the money and buy ammo and learn how to use the dot. Because really, like, using a dot is not a super easy process to learn. You do have to learn it. It is a curve. You're gonna have to spend money on ammo. You're gonna have to get out and shoot. If you don't, you're not gonna like it. So I would rather you save a little bit of money on the dot. This is borderline as good as an RMR. Not almost as good or just as good. It's for so much less that you can buy, 500 rounds of ammo and at least get a little bit of practice through with it. So not only is this thing a great dot, it's a great value as well. I will leave links down in the description below for these. These are affiliate links. If you click on them and you buy from those, it will help me out a little bit. But I mean, really, what else is there to say? This is just a fantastic dot. I think this thing is great for entry level or concealed carry. For the money, this dot can't be beat. If you're going pure gamer and you're wanting something that's going to help you be a little bit more competitive in like USPSA or something, this may not be the direction to go. It's got an okay size window, it's easy to use, but there are better options. But really, this dot's only competition in where it sits in the market is the RMR. And that's a pretty damn good spot to be. So thank you guys for watching our review of the Holosun 407 and 507C Gen 1. If you guys have any questions on those, go ahead and toss them down in the comments. If you found this video useful, go ahead and like and subscribe down below. If you like what we do here on the channel and you want to help out a little bit, head over to our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/workthetrigger. We give our Patreon members early access to our videos. We give them a little bit of channel news and some other content. Remember guys, I appreciate every one of you, and until next time, do your research, get informed, and get to work.